Next, let us look at creating the summary statistics ourselves. You don't want to use summary, you don't want to use skim, so it gives you flexibility in terms of what statistics that you really care about. And there are three functions that are available to you to do that. And the first one is apply, and then there are two variations of apply called L apply and S apply. So that should be S apply, right? So let's look at apply first. So the syntax for apply code is a variable, margin, and function. So variable is the data that you want to use. Margin is whether, well, I'll come back to margin. Function is the statistic that you want to compute, like the mean or median or whatever. And margin is whether you want to compute those statistics by row or by column. Okay, usually you want by column because each column represents a variable. Okay, and rows are just values of the different variables for a particular observation. So margin equal to 1 means that you do it by row, and that is not common. And margin equal to 2 is what is common. So that's what we will do. So do apply. Okay, Boston housing, margin equal to 2, and function equal to, so that we will just specify what function we want. So we want mean. Okay, so now this code will give you mean of each and every column. Margin equal to 2 gives you the column. So you have each column, what is the mean. Okay, and you can apply, you can do a help search and then see what other statistics or functions that you can specify for apply. Now L apply and S apply are variations of apply where margin is assumed to be 2. So you don't need to specify margins. So L apply and S apply will not compute the statistics row wise. It will only do column wise. The only difference between these two is L apply gives you a list, the result as a list, whereas the S apply gives you the result as a vector. Okay, so we will use S apply, and so S apply Boston housing. So remember, margin is not necessary, and then say mean. Okay, so now if you run, so you get the mean. Okay, now let's say we want standard deviation, then you do ST. Okay, and then say you want minimum, you say min, right? And then say you want max, you say max. And then you want median, then you say median. All right. Now if you want number of missing values, okay, so S apply does not provide a function that easily counts the missing values for each column. So we have to set up a function for that ourselves. Okay, so the function works this way. So you start with function and you say X for that function. Okay, so which means this function, what it will do is it will go to each column, okay, like S apply does. S apply takes this uh, function that we have provided, it applies to each column, right? So this sapply is going to take the function that we are going to specify and apply it to each column. So like in the other cases. So now we are going to say what that function is. Okay. So this is user defined function. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply this to the entire column. So we're going to look at, so X is going to look at each value in the column. And what we need is to see whether it is a missing value or not, and then count the missing values. So we want to see whether is NA is a missing value. Is it a missing value? Okay. And we want to check whether X is a missing value. Okay. Now this function will only say, okay, it'll just go through the entire column, and you say if it is true, then it will have a value of 1. If it is not true, it'll have a value of 0, and that would be it. But since we want to count how many missing values are there, we need to sum this. So you sum okay. So now this user defined function, so in place of mean, standard deviation, min, and so on, sapply is going to take this function and apply it to Boston Housing. Okay, so let's just run that one, see whether it works properly, and it works. Okay, so now if you want to display this as a table like this, then we have to give we have to convert these results into a data frame. So let's call this summary stat. Okay, and we want all of this to go in there as the data frame. So we'll say data frame. Okay, so open parenthesis. Let's put a close parenthesis here so we won't forget it later on, right? Okay, now we have to give names for each of these. So we say mean equal to dot sapply. Okay, and then so now we have to have a comma here. The next item be st equal to dot 1, and then comma here, and then say min equal to dot 1, then comma max equal to that one, comma median equal to that one, comma n miss equal to that. I think I'm missing one, which is how many observations there are. So n cases, let's call it cases, equal to, okay, so sapply, so instead of mean, so what we will have is length. Okay, so now we run this and then print it. So summary stat. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this code. Okay, we have an error in this line. Let's see what it is. So it looks like there is an extra. So if you move, so that is for is NA, this is for sum, this is, oh, I don't have a comma here. So I added the n cases but forgot to put a comma. Okay, so now we have the information that we have the summary statistics that we have generated ourselves. So if you want to display rounded values of the statistic, then we can say round and then run that, and then you have the information rounded. Okay, so this part is table 4.3, so we should really, I'm going to move that up here so the code will be placed correctly. So remember, okay, so here is the table 4.3. So that's the output that we got. The columns may be, I don't know, maybe the columns are exactly the same way. Anyway, so that's table 4.3.